Hey everyone, I just want to do a quick video on how to send emails using SendGrid within React. It's something that I had to do in a project recently, and SendGrid gives you, I think it's like 100 emails per day, which was more than sufficient for what I needed. And yeah, I couldn't find too much documentation around doing this and how easy it was, and it is really straightforward. So I thought, a 10-15 minute video would be more than enough to cover it. I'm not going to go through everything and, install in React, so I've just used Create React here, and yeah, you just get the basic setup. So what I'm going to do is, if we have a look here, we've got a few packages that we're going to want to install. The first one will be this one here. So this one is for SendGrid. Just going to run this install. While that's installing, we're going to look at a second one, which is called Ant Design. It's a really good component library. It's going to build out our form, and we don't have to do any styling really. So it's quite a quick, easy, lazy way of doing things. Let's see. So this looks like it's finished installing. I'm going to run the second one. Okay, so that's both our packages installed. Let's start building out this app. So I'm going to import React to start with. I'm going to import Ant Design. So what we're going to use is we're going to use some rows and some columns, a little bit like Bootstrap. That'll be our sort of starting point. We've got Ant D there. And if we look at the docs as well, you need to import a style sheet, which we can see is just here. Remove these comments, don't really need those. We're going to return, let's just return a row with a gutter of 24. I'm going to add an inline style, just so we've got a little bit of padding around the body. This can be 30 pixels. And we're going to add a column, which should start with a capital, as it's a component. And this will be extra large. Size can be 12. So if I just save this out, let it compile. We've got our nice little bit of padding around there. It's all in a row, all within a column. So we can start building out what our form's going to look like now. So we go back to Ant Design. We're going to type in form. This is how they look. Let's say all nicely styled. Haven't really got to do much apart from the import, and then use the components that provided. These are our options. You can come to the docs, you can view the source code, see how this is built, essentially just take the bits that you need from it. So if we replace this here, we're going to start building out our form. So we've got a form. One thing we need to do as well is import the components, and then we need to create a const for the form. Equals form dot use form, and then we want to attach this to the form as well. So this will be form equals form, and afterwards we'll add some other events. So when the form's finished. But what we can add as well, if we go form item, which we use to wrap input fields, buttons, those sorts of things. I'm going to add a space as well. If we have a look, because we're going to have a submit button, and we're going to have a clear button as well, so we can clear the form. Probably not necessary in this short form, but if you've got a mega long form, it's quite useful. So if we have a look at this space component, it just means we don't have to add inline CSS. We wrap it in a space component. We can have inline buttons that are sort of nicely spaced out together. So we've got button 1, and this type will be a primary, and we'll just call this submit. No, we won't do that. We'll do this, and we'll create another one, which will be type secondary, and this will be clear. And what we want to add on here as well is an on click event, which will be an arrow function. We're going to use form reset fields. So those are our buttons, and we haven't imported any of those, so let's go button and space. See how this is looking. Oh, perfect. Right, okay. So now if we want to add some fields, so I'm going to add an input here, spelled incorrectly. And another thing we want to do is we're going to have a text area as well, which basically uses the input. We don't need that right now, but we will be using that shortly. So I'm going to come back down here, form item, let's close this as well. I'm going to add an input, and then we just want to add things such as a name, which will be name, and a label, which will also be name, and we can add some rules as well to these. So the rules, do this nice and tidy. So we're going to make this required true. I'm just going to copy and paste this. So we've got name, email, and subject. And the last one we're going to use is going to be a message. I can't spell today. And this one's going to be the text area that we've created earlier. So let's have a look now. How's the form looking? It looks slightly messy. What do we need to add? Let's have a look here. Okay, so we're going to want to add a layout, which I believe vertical should, yeah, there we go, nice and tidy. So I'm going to add my email, subject, and a message. Nothing's going to happen because we haven't done anything yet, but we can clear those. Okay, so now we've got the form. What we want to do is attach SendGrid so that we can actually, add some functionality to how this works. So we've imported the package. What we need to do is now call this package. So we're going to call it, let's call it SG mail require at SendGrid/mail. And what we need to do as well is create ourselves an API key. So once you sign up for SendGrid, you'll get yourself a little sort of dashboard here. So if I delete this one, you can just come down to settings and API key. I'm just going to call this one SendGrid test. I'm going to give it full access just for now. And here I've got my API key. So we're going to call SGMail set API key. I'm going to add our API key in there. SGMail is not defined. Just because I did SQ. Okay, so that's fine. What we need to do is we're going to add an onComplete sort of arrow function here. So once the form's sent, this is what we basically want to do. So we'll call it const on complete. We're going to get fields, and we're going to add an arrow there. What we want as well, so we're going to have a const message. So this will just sort of populate the data. This will just be an object. So we're going to send it to, I use this quite a lot, just a disposable email address. It's really good when you're doing this kind of testing. You can trash them if you want to use different ones. So yeah, just copy this. This is where we're going to go to. This is where it's going to be from, which will be field. No, this will be email, and then subject, which will be fields subject, and then we want HTML. We're going to use a backtick. We're going to go BP. I'm going to make this strong, and this can be name, and we'll use dollar fields dot name, and then we're going to want to add the message, so I can get rid of this, change name to message. Now we want SGMail send, and we want to send this object. Then we're going to use the arrow function. Once this is sent, what we'll do is we'll go form reset fields, which is a sort of function that we've called a little bit further down, just so that it clears the form every time it's sent. Then we can console log email sent. We can catch any errors as well. And we'll go console error. Error. So now we want to attach this to the form as well. So this will be an on finish equals on complete. Right. So one thing to mention as well is that you need to have a verified email when you create the account for this to work, and you do this in SendGrid. So let's just run a test. So I'm going to be John Doe, my email. You can see that I use this quite a lot. This is my test subject, and this is my message. Let's have a look. Got an error by the looks of it. No, maybe we need to, I think we might need a HTML type. Let's have a look at these buttons. So we've got a forbidden, 403 forbidden. Let's run one more test on a hard refresh. There we go. So email sent. Let's see if it's come through. And it has. So we've got the sender, we've got the subject, we've got the name, and we've got the message. So yeah, it's really straightforward once you take a look at it. There's some nice little things that we could probably add. So maybe we can add a little notification. Let's have a look at adding a notification when the message is sent. Again, just a small sort of UI feature just for the user and some clarity. We can add this down here as well, so I don't really want an on-click. Message successful, quite a sort of standard message. We successfully received your email. So let's give this a go. I'm going to give this a hard refresh. I'm going to go again. James King, my new subject, in the wrong field. jk@gmail.com. I'm going to paste this here. And that one's forbidden. I'll have to check what's going on with that error. And there we go. Message sent successfully. Okay, hope you like this one, guys.